y'all bear with me. I'm very nervous this morning, but I was asked to come in and share with you guys because I understand there's a lot of people in this room who probably are going through what my husband and I went through over the last few years. To start off, I was saved back in 1995, and over the years, just never found like a church home, never really got myself settled anywhere. And about 3 years ago, my husband and I moved back to Ackworth to be close to my family. I've got 2 little boys, 7-year-old Easton and 4-year-old Beckham. And as we got settled in our new home and our new neighborhood and our new community, it was really pulling on my heart that I needed to be back in church. I needed to share that with my kids. And at the time, I knew it wasn't something that my husband was going to be on board with, but I was determined that I was going to raise my kids the way that I knew was the right way. So with that, a neighbor of mine and his wife, who is actually here today, invited me to come to their church. And so one Sunday I got up, I got my kids ready, and I was determined this is it, we're going to do this. I got them to church, and honestly, it was the best decision. The kids had a great time, I had a great time, and I knew that was my new home. I was ready to start growing in my faith, so thank you. That's how I ended up in this group with Moms with Swords. The guy that I work with is Kristen's husband, and Kristen reached out and invited me to come to the satellite session, and I have met some of the most amazing women. And there's a large group of them here today, and it is the most supportive, wonderful group of women. To carry on with that story, in May of last year, I miscarried my 3rd baby. And it was a very dark and hard time for me. And I felt like that was the time when my husband and I were probably going through one of our toughest seasons. He had kind of moved on. It was an unexpected pregnancy, but for me, for some reason, I struggled. And in September of last year, I took my boys to the beach with my parents on winter break, and my husband had planned to go to this golf tournament out of town with a good friend of ours. So we went our separate ways that weekend, and I'm not sure what it was about that weekend, but there was just this tug on my heart that I was sad, I was feeling disconnected, and I walked out on the balcony of the condo we were staying at, and I sat there and watched the sunrise, and I just prayed for our marriage, prayed for our kids, and I asked God to change his heart because I wanted that. I wanted to walk into church on a Sunday with my whole family. And you guys, it's God's time. It's not ours. It's something for years that he had struggled with. He grew up in church, but his mom passed away and he was angry. And he turned away for a long, long time. And in the 10 years that we were together, I couldn't tell you that he would be the person who would walk through the doors of the church and be supportive and praying with me and praying with my kids. But it was 12 hours after I said, "Take the wheel, God. Tell me what to do next. I'm not sure where to go from here." And when I did that, the next morning I got a call from him. He was sitting in a restaurant with his friend the night before, and he had this overwhelming feeling. He said there's no other explanation that it had to be God reaching out to him. So he looked at his friend and said, "Hey, let's head back to the hotel room." So they went back to the hotel room, and he sat up all night with that friend, and they prayed together. They talked about what he had been through. He talked about losing his mom and how that made him angry and how he was ready to open his heart. So again, it's not our time, it's his. He came home that next Sunday. We had a very emotional week, and then as we were getting ready for that next weekend, we were going to go to church for the first time as a family of 4, and all want to be there. And a hurricane came. And that hurricane came to South Georgia, and my husband works for Georgia Power, so he was sent off to help restore power down in Brunswick. So I went to church alone again that Sunday with my kids, and still very nervous about what was this journey going to look like for us. But that next week, he was home, and I couldn't tell you that service the following Sunday was absolutely 100% geared to my husband. It started with a video of a gentleman much in his situation who, had been outwardly denying God and found the way back to God. Beyond that, our pastor got up, and his entire sermon was about how sometimes sheep get lost from the flock. Sometimes people drift away from the flock, but God doesn't forget you. He leaves the flock, and he goes and he finds that sheep, and he brings them back. And that's exactly what he did. At the end of that service, my pastor did something he doesn't normally do, and he brought our band back on stage, and they played Come to the Altar. And already a very emotional service for all of us. My husband looked at me, and he looked at our friend who was on that trip with him, and he asked us to go down front and pray with him. So we did. We walked down front. We all got on our knees, and we prayed over him. We're still so early in this journey, y'all. But I'm hoping if there's one mama in this room who is going through that struggle, just keep going. Just keep praying over your husbands. Keep praying over your kids. It's in God's time. And the one thing that always rings still in my ears is be still and know that I'm God. And it's so true. So that was my story for today. I hope, I could help somebody here, but thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.